Yeah, welcome all beautiful friends. I thought we'd do a bit of a recap of all of our adventures that we've been on. We've just sort of finished our second year, and I guess we've broken it up into as like two iterations. The first year was the first iteration, second year our second iteration, and we're just about to embark on our third iteration, which we're planning on it to be our biggest iteration to date. And primarily we've been focused on Southeast Asia and Asia. And so our third iteration though, we're going to be travelling a bit further abroad and check out a few other places that we've been thinking of, I guess. So I thought I'd go through some of the places that we've the places that we've been, the places that we sort of gelled with, and maybe we didn't really gel with so much for whatever reason, and so maybe some sort of tips and stuff. So sort of our first year, we really focused a lot in Thailand and Bangkok, really. We flew into this is our two iterations on here, so it looks a bit messy. That's the reason why. But we flew into Bangkok. Seems to be our starting point for whatever reason. We've always spent a lot of time in Bangkok and Thailand, so maybe it's sort of our second home, I guess. But it always seems to be our starting point, always seems to be our hub. We love Bangkok, we love Thailand. We've been to a lot of places in Thailand, and we're starting to explore more and more places. Just because you go back there and it's like, oh, we've been there before, let's go and check out other places. But we've always loved our time in Thailand. But the first iteration was really made up of Thailand, Malaysia, and then we went up to Korea, which we loved. It's funny, if anyone says to us what's your favourite place, we always just immediately go Korea. And then, so it was sort of our first iteration. We went back to Thailand, and some life stuff happened, and we came back home. And then when we set off for our second iteration, we started off in Bangkok again, but didn't stay long there, and then went to Vietnam. And then, where did we go next? Oh, Busan, that's right. Then we went up to Busan in Korea, and then we spent a lot of time in, we spent 6 months in Indonesia, Bali specifically. So I thought what we'd do is I'll go through the places we went in Thailand in the first iteration. So first time when we went, we just sort of went into Bangkok, and then we only stayed there for a night or two, and then we spent all of our time on Koh Samui. Actually, spent the majority of our time on Koh Samui. We weren't there in peak season, so it was really cool. It wasn't wet season either, but it was sort of cool then because it wasn't as expensive, and it's not as many tourists there, like not too many of us there. And then we did a little solo trip to Copenhagen, and that was good, but we didn't stay in the main area. We went went to the other part of the island where you have to catch a couple of boats to get to and stuff, which is awesome. So then we went back to Koh Samui, and that is which took us to our second part of the journey, which we took a flight from Koh Samui to Kuala Lumpur in Malaysia. And we loved KL, loved Malaysia, loved KL. Where we were staying was a really cool place. It wasn't a great like we were in a unit complex. It wasn't a great unit complex, but the area was so cool. It wasn't far from like the big markets they have, Chinese markets. It wasn't too far from the big botanical gardens that they have there. It was a short ride, a taxi ride, but we were also close to like this canopy walkway in the city as well, where you could walk through the trees and there's heaps of monkeys and stuff. It was really cool. Really, there weren't that many people there actually, and so it was like really cool. Really cool place. We love KL. We always think about going back there again. And then we took a train to Penang, and if anyone asks us what's our most overrated place, we always say Penang. Just because there was so much hype, people talking to us about the places we should go and stuff. It's cool and all, don't get me wrong, like there's a lot of like cool street art. It's on an island, but the island, it's a big, like it's a populated island. It's not like island vibes or anything. And maybe it was the area we were in. Maybe there's better areas you could go to where it's a bit more beachy vibes and stuff. Just where we were though, it was just okay. But like the train ride was cool. The KL depot for the train was cool, but the Penang ones sort of sucked a little bit. It was hard to get on and off the train in Penang, especially when you got big bags. You had to use a lift, I think. I don't think they had like a travelator, which is just so weird to say, but when there's so many people going there, it became really congested, and it made the whole sort of experience there a bit hard. So we got the train in and out of Penang back to KL. And then we flew from KL and we went up to Chiang Mai. We flew from KL to Chiang Mai, and that was awesome. Like one of the things I love is flying into airports that aren't the primary airport of the country. So for example, like Bangkok would be the primary airport, but Chiang Mai is a big airport, international airport as well that you can fly into, and it's so easy to go in and out of those places. So I love, and flying into Chiang Mai was so beautiful. Just the countryside in there was just so great. We were just saying this morning actually, the place that we could go back to was this area again, and I would love to be we got a bike, but we didn't sort of go too far off the beaten track. If we went back, I think we'd go more, shoot out more like this cool area like Chiang Rai up the top up there as well, which is cool. But we love this area, and we would go back to Chiang Mai. Pai was awesome, but it was starting to get really busy. And this is the thing that we found everywhere when you speak to people or watch things, especially old travel YouTube things. There's a massive difference between pre-COVID and post-COVID. And I think these places were once a bit untouched, like Pai and the islands. Like I know the islands on Samui off Thailand were busy, but now they're sort of off the chart busy. And the same thing's happening up in Pai. It's getting a bit too busy. You could like if we went there, you would go there outside of the seasons. We'd go there outside. We go there outside of the peak seasons and stuff, which you can do, obviously. So it's a little bit less people. And then from there, we did a quick trip to Korea. Well, it wasn't quick. We spent a month in Korea. We flew into Seoul, spent a couple of days there, and just loved it. Loved it so much. And then we flew down to Jeju, and again, just loved Jeju. We spent a month on Jeju, and we will go back to Jeju. We will go back to Korea. It was just so Jeju, Korea, everywhere was so cool. But Jeju was beautiful. You sort of, if you stay in the main area, you can get around with public transport. But we stayed on the other side of the island, so you really need transport. We had a car. So that can add to your costs when you like. Korea's a little bit more expensive. Like we found everywhere to be a bit more expensive now post-COVID. Thailand, for example, definitely. The islands, definitely. But yeah, so Korea is probably up there with more. It wouldn't be as expensive as say England, but it's up. It's getting up. It's up there, the same, similar to like the States or Australia or something like that. So just expect those sort of costs when you go there. But Jeju is so beautiful. People, next level nice. We loved our time in Jeju, so we'd totally go back. So that's like took us to our like. That was our first iteration. As I said, we had the life sort of popped up and we had to divert our travel plans, but we came back home and we were like, oh, I think you just hit us, and we're like, let's just go here. So that's when we just decided to hightail it to Vietnam. We went to Bangkok first, of course, but yeah, then we went quickly to Vietnam. And again, like we just sort of did the south part of Da Nang, Vietnam, and like I guess, you know, when you don't know where you're going first, you just sort of watch a few things in YouTube videos or speak to a few people and they give you recommendations, so you just go there. So it's a good sort of starting point. But of course, like I'd love to go back to Vietnam and explore different aspects of it. Like we went to Ho Chi Minh and everyone said it wasn't that great. But we didn't mind it, but it's partly because we stayed about an hour outside of the city. So like it was a really cool area we were in. It wasn't, of course, Vietnam's all busy, but it wasn't as busy being that far out. But we didn't stay there long, a couple of nights, and then we flew to Da Nang. And actually, funnily enough, we were just booking things. We just didn't think, and that was Lunar New Year. And so the flight from Ho Chi Minh to Da Nang was just hectic. Intense. Intense. There's probably a word I would describe Vietnam as intense. Like we're very relaxed, chilled people. So when you put us in an environment like that, we tend to find it quite jarring. So our experience can be that we will find it intense, where some other people might not find it that intense. So we went up to Da Nang and we spent a month in Da Nang, and like everyone raved about Da Nang to us, and because like we're vegan, and so like Da Nang's full of vegan food, so that was cool. But we didn't stay in the right spot. Like Da Nang's very busy, and there's a beach, but it is not a nice beach. Actually, in our last trip, we were in Bali, and we were speaking to an expat and talking about beaches, and I'm like, oh yeah, that beach was just okay, that beach was just okay. And they're like, are you a beach snob? And I'm like, yeah, totally, actually. It's only because, like, where I come from, like, I come from the beach, and, like, it's up there as one of the nicest beaches in the world, so, if that's my starting point, my reference, then, yeah, that's, I'm going to sort of think most places, if they're not kept like that, then they sort of aren't that great. So we didn't like the beaches in Da Nang. We went for a swim there, but it's a little bit gross, to be fair. And I have a problem with my ears as well, so any sort of, like, when we were up north, Thailand, we went to a couple of natural hot springs and I put my head under, which was probably a mistake, obviously, but like I was getting a lot of ear infections, which can be like, you think, oh, it's not that bad, but ear infections can be brutal. Like one of them like seeped down into the back of my, the infection seeped down into the back of my throat, and I was in a little bit of problem for a couple of days there. So I should probably be way more careful with pollution and polluted waters than what I am. But I also want to enjoy where I'm going, so whatever. Anyway, so Penang, I wouldn't go back to Penang, put it like that. You sort of have to fly in there, but I wouldn't go, if you're around here, but I wouldn't go back. We did like a little trip to Hawaii, which was okay. It's cool to see, but I wouldn't spend much time there. And we stayed in like a really remote part of Hawaii, which, man, it was really hard to get transport into the main area. And not only that, but there were some really cool things to see there, but I don't know if I'd live there. Anyway, but then we went to Hoi An and just like loved Hoi An. Like, the beach was quite nice, although a friend had just was there recently, and he showed me pictures, and because there was a big typhoon that went through the Philippines and worked its way through to Vietnam, it destroyed their beach there. So I think what was a nice beach may have been destroyed now. But Hoi An's like full of vegan food. You eat at the vegan places, it's not Western prices, but it's a little, maybe 10% off it. But super nice food, and where we stayed was a super nice area, so it made our time a little bit more enjoyable, I guess. But I think we'll go back to Hoi An and spend like a good chunk of time there. It's like months. Yeah, we really liked that area. But I would love to go up to like up to the north area as well, and spend some time in Hanoi and stuff. Like as they say, it's very, because of the Vietnam War, Vietnam was sort of split into two, where the South had a lot of Western influence. The Americans were down in Ho Chi Minh, and there was also French that came into Vietnam too, and they were in around the centre there and down south. So, whereas I think up north, a little bit more of the Chinese influence, so it comes out in the architecture and stuff. So I think I find that really interesting to see. I think that would be, that'd be sort of super interesting. And funnily enough, when we'd only booked to go to Vietnam, and when we were there, we were like, we had no idea where we were going to go next, and so we wrote down on 3 pieces of paper 3 countries we would like to go, mixed them up, dropped the name, which was Korea, and then we came up with 3 cities we wanted to go to, mixed them up, dropped a piece, and it came as Busan. And I was like, cool, okay. And we just had the best time in Busan. We just loved it, and we're going to do that more often, I think. It was cool just to let the universe decide where to walk around. Busan was awesome. I loved it. Would definitely go back to Busan. It was such a cool place. Again, a little bit on the expensive side, but as I said, I found most places are a little bit more on the expensive side now. Anyway, so Busan trip we had planned, and we had booked flights to go to Japan from Busan. And the thing that I really wanted to do actually was you can catch a ferry. Busan, Korea and Japan are quite close, and I wanted to catch a ferry, or it's not a ferry, it's a boat from Busan across to Japan and catch the train through there. But we got a bit freaked out because they said a massive earthquake is going to hit Japan July 25th, I think it was. So that freaked us out a bit. And we had to go to Indonesia, and we had to go to Bali specifically for an event. So we were like, oh well, maybe we just go to Bali or Indonesia and Bali just so that we're there and that we make sure we're there at the event, and then we'll come back and do Japan another time. And thankfully, nothing nothing too crazy happened in Japan. There was an earthquake that hit Russia, an island off Russia, and Hawaii copped it a little bit, but yeah, thank God it was okay, you know. So we ended up spending 6 months in Bali. And if you had have told me ever in my life that I was going to spend 6 months in Bali, I would say you're kidding. And if you had have told me at the start of 2025 you were going to spend 6 months in Bali, I would have told you you're kidding. Actually, if you had have said to me you're going to spend 3 months in Korea, I would have said you're kidding as well. Anyway, that's fun. That's life. It's so cool. It's so cool like that. But like, love Bali. Okay, we have a lie. I should say we have a love-hate relationship with Bali. The hate part is we got incredibly sick a couple of times, and we've spoken to so many people that have spent time in Bali, and they all have said the same thing, that everyone just gets sick in Bali. And even I said, you know, we've spent 2 years in Asia, Southeast Asia, and we've been fine. And they were like, yeah, just something different in Indonesia, in Bali, whether it's close to the equator or, I don't know. We were speaking to a naturopath up in the wilderness, and yeah, they were like, he was talking about the microbiome, I think it is. I can't remember. But they said it does something. It just does something to your tummy. So that can sort of, you know, being sick and stuff like that can really dampen your experience in places. And the other the other thing, I guess I wasn't, okay, I'd heard that Bali's a party town, or party area, and so we, specifically when we went there, we went to Ubud, but I just wasn't expecting Ubud to be this crazy, and thankfully we stayed we just stayed about 20 minutes out on the south side of Ubud, and so it was cool, we're with the locals, but the actual centre, the town, was just, wow, it was crazy. Like, I would put it on the same level as Vietnam. And I was speaking to an expat who'd lived there for 20 years, and he said, yeah, again, pre-COVID and post-COVID, they're two different places. Yeah, so if you go but Ubud had like the nicest food, and I think it could be the vegan capital of the world. Like, we loved it there. And we think about going back too. But again, Bali was expensive. Well, see, it's just more expensive than what I thought. Like, I almost put Bali on the same level as Korea. Again, but that was in the main areas. Like, we had to go to Canggu. We had to go to Canggu and Denpasar. And then we spent like a week in Uluwatu and just did not vibe at all with those places. Not remotely vibe with them. It's if you're into going to the gym all the time, that's then like Uluwatu definitely would be a place. Even Canggu would definitely be a place. If you're into paddle, Canggu. But like, we're sort of more into like being in nature, in the beach or the mountains, and so these places are really busy now. Yeah, they're really busy, busier than what I was thinking they would be. But anyway, and so the love part of Bali was obviously the food and Ubud, but also being in the mountains was just great. And then we spent a lot of time. Probably half of our time we spent outside of the main areas and just got lost in Bali. And it was just the most beautiful experience, most beautiful people. And like, I'll show you, like, we did this bike trip. We went from Ubud to Kintamani, which is, there's a mountain up there, and we went down and stayed on Lake Batua for, I don't know, it was almost 5 days, I think. It was like so cool. Loved it all around there. It's pretty touristy, but it's pretty cool. But then we kept on doing this trip, and we on our scooter, and it's like, if you do this trip, you'll know it's like almost vertical, the mountainside. So we had some problems on our scooter, and coming back down, I wasn't braking properly, and so I'd burnt the brakes out, but I didn't know this at the time. I thought there was something wrong with the bike. But like if you do it, you just need to rest. Like give your bike an hour or two rest, and then the brakes are just overheating. But we were coming down here, and we had to stop for an hour. And this guy a local just comes out of nowhere and helped us, and then brought us into his home. And brought us into his home. We ended up sitting there for like hours with his family. There was like 15 of them drinking coffee. And it was like, that was probably the most coolest experience we've had on all of our adventures. And so, you don't get those sort of things if you just stay in the main areas. You need to sort of go on trips and do fun things to experience stuff like that. Yeah, I think that was probably the coolest experience we've had in all of our adventures. And then we went around went around the East Coast, stayed around here a lot, loved it, and then ended up coming back to Ubud. And then we spent a bit of time on the West Coast as well, which again was really cool. But it was just, the beaches just aren't great. You really have to, then again, I'm a beach snob, so they're not that clean. They're not clean. I shouldn't say they're not that clean. They're not clean. It's hard to know with the black sand if it's the black sand that's making the water brown, but I've got a feeling it's the waterways that lead out there as well. And there's a lot of pollution in the water, just like tyres and things like that. So that's sort of like the hate part of it. You'd look at it and go, oh, that'd be so cool. Like, it could be so cool, but then you have that part and you're like, oh, it's so disappointing. But like honestly, like I really feel like you could just get lost in Indonesia forever, and I feel like that could be something that happens to us as well. It's not going to happen in our third iteration, and the third iteration could be a long one. It might morph into a fourth iteration. But at some point I could really see just sort of settling around there and just getting lost through all of Indonesia, seeing all the islands. And the great thing about Indonesia for our country that we're from is the visa is so great. We stayed there for 6 months, and all we had to do was every 2 months go down to immigration. We got there early, and we'd only spend 5-10 minutes there and then leave. Obviously if you go late you can get trapped there all day, but yeah, we went early, just renewed for another 2 months, paid the money, which was not much, and then bingo bango, you're there for another 2 months, and you can do that 3 times, so you can stay there for 6 months, and then all you have to do then is, after that 6 months, is just get a flight out of the country, and all you have to do is just get out. You don't have to stay anywhere for long period of time you don't want to, and then just come back again, and then you can do that again for another 6 months without having to get any major visa to stay in a country for a long time. So that's gold. Like, for example, like Bangkok, Thailand, like the visa situation is not great. Like, it's actually one of the worst. Like Vietnam, we could stay there for 3 months. Korea, we could stay there for 3 months. Japan, we could stay there for 3 months. Thailand's like 2 months, and they just changed that to 2 months too. And then I think you can only do that twice, and I think you have to leave the country both times as well. I don't think you can just renew it. I could be wrong there, but so that sort of sucks a little bit. And even we know guys who have their retirement visa in Thailand, so it's a 10-year visa, but every year they have to go and say hello or whatever, pay their money. You still have to pay money, and then they can obviously keep on saying that, but I mean, that's still a thing you have to do. It's not like it's 10 years, you stay there for 10 years and don't do anything. And then of course you got the whole tax implications, where if you stay longer than 6 months, you have to pay tax in that country. So then you're paying 2 taxes, unless you renege on your home country. You're now paying 2 taxes. So that sort of sucks. Anyway, that's sort of some of our experience in our adventures to date. So we'll do a little recap. It's been, as I said, 2 years or 2 iterations of our adventures, and we're setting off on our 3rd one. And yeah, I thought it'd be sort of cool to, I guess sort of recap on where we've been, what we've done, some of the places we sort of gelled with, and some of the places we didn't gel with, and also some tips and sort of some expectations of what things might be like now compared to pre-COVID and stuff like that. It's been fun. It's been cool. We're really looking forward to it. We get antsy. Like I think last week I was a bit pissy. And I think we get a bit antsy. We want to get travelling again. So might as well do it while you can and while we can. Because you never know what life throws at you. So for now, let's sort of enjoy the time that we have. Anyway, thanks so much for hanging out with us at our on our channel, santailife. If you get a chance and you're wondering what santai means, read it in our bio, and it's also on our website as well. It was something that we really gelled with. You can go check out our Instagram, TikTok, and that's our website as well. But it's something we really gelled with, and a phrase that we really gelled with on our adventures. So we wanted to incorporate that into our life more. We're there already, but let's incorporate it more. Cool. Well, thanks so much for hanging out on this video. And we've got heaps of videos to come, and we'll be sharing heaps more in our 3rd iteration. Cool. Thanks so much. Bye.